Alrighty. Good morning, Tennyson Middle School. My name is Hannah Legge, and I am the principal of Tennyson Middle School. So for this portion of our 3-day training, I just want to make sure that the norms and what the expectations for PLCs moving forward are, and I wanted to make sure that it was coming from me, so we're all on the same page and you're all receiving the same message. So every PLC that you have should have the goal in mind that we're moving students' learning forward. Okay. We're going to talk about what PLCs aren't. We're going to talk about the types of data you're going to use for PLCs. But again, every meeting moves student learning forward. So today marks a meaningful shift in how we operate as a campus, okay? So this is not just a minor adjustment or routine professional development. This is going to be a fundamental reset of how we use our time during professional development. I mean, during PLCs, but I mean also during professional development. So what this is a deliberate leadership-driven reset for our PLC culture, okay? So me, along with the assistant principals, are focused entirely on moving student learning forward for every single PLC. You might not have an administrator present for every PLC, but I would like for us to be present for most of them, especially the assistant principals. So from every PLC, I want you to always take away a clear shared understanding of true PLC purpose, and a model for what high quality PLCs will look like, and of course, concentrate tools and structures to implement immediately. So our PLCs begin as soon as school starts. And you guys are like, with what data, lady? We'll use our STAR scores. So why we're resetting PLCs? So in the past, we have utilized that time incorrectly, right? So we've used it for planning time, vent sessions, and even task meetings. So what we're not going to do is do lesson planning during our PLCs. And and some of you might not even know that those two things are separate from each other, but you'll understand why in just a second. Event sessions, I know that especially as the year progresses, we all get really close with each other because we share the same students, we share the same administrative frustrations, right? We're tired, we develop relationships with each other, but if we are able to make this time purposeful, I promise it will make things easier in the long run. And task meetings, so logistics, do's and don'ts don't drive student outcomes. What does is data. So what PLCs must be is student outcome focused. So every agenda item ties back to what students need. It's very similar to a learning objective, right? Making sure that everything aligns in that way. A PLC is data driven. Decisions come from evidence, not just our instinct. Yes, some of us have been in the classroom for 10 plus years and we know how this is going to go, but make sure you can back up your decisions with data. That is the how even administrators have to back up our decision making, right, with data. And of course, action oriented. So every meeting ends with a clear next step. And not only a clear next step, but a clear next step together as a team, right? We're all on the same page. We know what we're doing next and we're moving forward with it. We are action driven. Okay, so our new PLC vision. So every meeting at Tennyson will be anchored in 4 questions. I'm going to call them the big 4. So what we are going to be utilizing these as is kind of our backbone. Every conversation needs to have kind of an anchor, especially during our PLC time. So the big 4 questions are, what do we want students to learn? Okay, so we're identifying our standards using TEKS. How will we know that they learned it, right? How are we going to assess? Define clear shared evidence through common assessment, whether that's a demonstration of learning, a writing sample, a quick 5-question quiz, right? How will we assess that? What will we do if they don't learn it? Okay, we're going to design targeted intervention using our MTSS systems. We're going to be specific, timely, and differentiated. So, differentiated, our scaffolds. But I want you guys to think the kind of like natural flow is? What if they already know it? So that's actually a part of differentiation as well. Providing meaningful extension opportunities for our kiddos that are like, yeah, I got this. And unfortunately, our classrooms are full of kids at different levels, and that can make it very difficult for us. But during PLC, if you can plan specific timely intervention for our low, medium, and high kids, you'll be able to push those high kids towards mastery on their STAR test or mastery on whatever the concept that you're teaching is. And you'll be able to push our kiddos that are lower to a step higher where they're actually understanding the concept. So what does this look like in actions? So it's a very much so input output life cycle. So effective PLCs have clear input output relationships. Teams arrive prepared with the right materials. So what does that mean? What does prepared for PLC look like? So you have your aligned TEKS and priority standards for the week ready to go. You have your common assessment data disaggregated, which means that you have already looked at your data and you can speak to it, right? So my students did not do well on this question. This is the misconception I think that I need to address. This is the plan to reteach. What do you guys think, right? Your PLC is to collaborate and come up with a plan together. And then student work samples when applicable, right? So not all of our data is going to be a multiple choice test. So bringing a low, medium, and high student sample of data is always appreciative, especially when it comes to our English people. We know that it's not just A, B, C, or D a lot of the time. So, and this is what you'll leave with. So when you come ready with all of those things, you'll leave with specific instructional adjustments that you'll need to make, right? And you've come together as a team to decide what the best move is, a clear documented intervention plan, and then, of course, an extension plan for students who've mastered the content. So again, looking for that differentiation in your reteach is very important, okay? PLCs produce decisions, not just plans, okay? It's not what we will try, but it's what we will do, by when, and for which students. So we're being as specific as we possibly can. So there's a couple non-negotiables that you may already be able to assume, but these will also be part of what anchors us. Okay, they are not aspirational, they are expected. So when leadership is present, these will be monitored. So data must be present at every meeting in some shape or form. I understand that things can feel stressful this way, but again, I'm not always looking for a test or a quiz. You can bring written data. Every conversation that you have during PLC needs to be student-centered, okay? What do our students need next is going to be the question that drives every discussion. And this is where things get a little bit different, okay? So the documentations. So one of the, I guess, lingos as an administrator that we go by is, did you document it? And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, well then it never happened, right? So it's important that you guys are documenting what these decisions that are being made are, and the plans and the commitments that you're making to make sure that we're pushing those students forward. And there will be a template for this, but it needs to be filled out every PLC. And this is very important. All voices contribute. So when working on a team, it's very easy for one voice to be a little bit louder than the rest, or a couple voices to be a little bit louder than the rest, especially when we have teams that, some of them have worked for 10 years, some of them have only worked for one. We have a couple, 9 new teachers coming in. So it's very easy for the tenured teachers to kind of speak a little bit louder, but I want to make sure that no one sits silent while others dominate, because I hired these teachers for a reason and I do value their input. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like. So what you'll see, the objective of this is participants, you guys will be able to analyze student data to determine clear instructional next steps. So you'll see sample TEKS or priority standard. a brief student data set or class level performance snapshot, and a focused discussion question to anchor the analysis. So we're going to be watching for how the question is framed, how data drives the response, and how decisions become specific. So again, these 4 questions are big 4. What do we want students to learn? We're going to be looking for precise skill gaps revealed in the TEKS, and not necessarily the whole standard, but the specific subskill that students miss. How will we know? Point to the common assessment evidence, which items, which question types, in which student groups, and at what threshold. So as you can see, it's a lot more specific than maybe what you're used to, because we're looking at the who, what, why, when, where, and how. You get what I mean. So what if they don't? A targeted reteach plan, who delivers it and what format, and when will this happen? When will this happen? So you guys already know your curriculum is jam-packed. So making sure that you set intentional time aside for a reteach is very important. And then, of course, what if they already know it? Let's plan an extension task that deepens and transfers the skill, specific enough that any teacher or team member could execute it. So what you should notice, so before you practice on your own, I want you to take a moment to internalize what made the model PLC conversation feel effective. So this slide here, okay, what makes it feel effective? So data is, and not opinion, is very important. So every decision was grounded in what the numbers actually showed. You're very specific, you're not general. We're looking at the skill. What action are they missing? Okay, what do we need to reteach? Specifically, when do we need to reteach it? And then making sure that every student group is addressed, our kiddos that are struggling, our kiddos that are on level, and of course, our kiddos that are already mastering. So I want you to apply this model to your own team's data. So this is where the real work and real growth actually happens. So you're now going to work in a real PLC experience with the people at your table, which you guys are assigned seats, so you're all within your departments. And I want you to use the data set provided and move through all 4 questions together. Stay focused. You'll be sharing one key decision with the whole group when the time is called. So you're going to be working with your department, use your provided data set, answer the big 4, and prepare to share one key decision that you've made as a team. You guys have 6 minutes to do that, and your time starts now. We're going to pretend the 6 minutes went by. So let's talk about what you guys discussed. Let's hear from table 7. What did you answer to the big 4? Great job. So this is kind of another new part of the PLC, and it is the portion that gives all team members a role. And this can be a rotating role. This can be something that changes from semester to semester or cycle by cycle. But each team member needs to be held accountable for something during the PLC in order to make sure that you guys are working as a team. So there will be a facilitator, okay, which keeps the team anchored. This is usually the person that is most tenured. And we are anchored in the 4 PLC questions, the big 4. This person must be able to guide without dominating, but ensures time is protected for purposeful discussion, right? I don't want your guys' PLCs to be your entire conference period. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the time that you are given for your PLC to be very intentional. I want to make sure this is data-led. So we've got a data person, okay? If something is not feeling anchored by data, this person gently reminds us that, hey, this is not a decision grounded in evidence. We need to make sure that we're making our decision with data, not feeling. The recorder. This is probably the most, I don't want to say difficult, but it's the most work, because this person will be using the template that we give you to document key decisions, intervention plans, and extension strategies. So ensuring nothing is agreed upon or lost. So this person will have a running document that is shared with administration, so we can check to make sure that you guys are utilizing your time efficiently. But not only that, so when we go into your classrooms, we know what we're looking for in your lesson and in your reteaches. The timekeeper. The timekeeper keeps the team on pace, signals transition between agenda items, and protects time so all 4 questions receive the attention they deserve. And not only that, they protect your time as well. And then all members come prepared with data, materials, and contribute meaningfully to discussion and commit fully to the actions the team agrees upon. So the administrators, what do? So they will not be able to be at every PLC. I'm going to be honest, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But they are still not passive in this model. Okay, administrators will circulate and listen actively and coach the team through decision making if they need help. Okay, our presence is a signal that this work matters, and our role is to push teams toward greater specificity and rigor. So we're there to help. Okay, we're not just there to judge the decisions you're making or judge your data. We're there to help. So what are we going to do to help? We're going to circulate and coach. Okay, so we're going to move between you all with purpose, listen and understand before redirecting your thinking to something different. We're going to ask probing questions like, what does your data actually show? How are you grouping students for interventions, right? How are our tiered kiddos set? And what is your plan for both ends of the spectrum, meaning our kiddos that are struggling and our kiddos that have already mastered? And then we're just going to push you to be more specific with the who, when, how, and which students. So each team is going to share one key insight from your data, what surprised you or confirmed a pattern, and then you're going to share your one instructional decision. So you guys have about 3 minutes to get this together. Your time starts now. Alrighty, and then we're going to end here. So what do strong PLCs produce? They produce targeted instructions with lessons shaped by what data says and students need, not by what comes next in the textbook or how you feel. It comes with clear intervention systems. Students who are behind get a real plan. Consistent rigor. All students, regardless of the classroom, experience the same high expectations and quality of instructions. And of course, our main goal, improved student outcomes. So I hope this brought some clarity to what you guys are going to expect for PLCs. And if we do this right, no student falls through the cracks, and instruction becomes and remains intentional, and results improve across the campus. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your 3-day training. Bye.